Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Kenneth Price on Sunday, October 23rd, and it is 9 a.m. Pacific time. Well, I'm in Utah, so I'm 10 a.m. Central Time or Central Daylight Time. And this is our Sunday morning Zoom call for the ministry that I've been hosting for over a year, psychiatricsobriety.com. And this is our 48th Sunday morning Zoom call. And I'm recording this for YouTube because this is, there are messages. I say, this is my 5-minute introduction. There are messages and there are nuggets and there's so much valuable dialogue that comes through that we're just all fortunate to have this technology so that we can record it. All right, so for those of you watching this on YouTube, what is psychiatric sobriety? Well, before I say what is psychiatric sobriety, I'll share with you who I am. I'm Kenneth Price. I'm 55 years old, and I am completely free of all psych meds, all benzodiazepines, and I'm completely emerged from all mental illness. And that comes from a man who spent 25 years of his life in psychiatry, completely polydrugged, including addictions, to try and cure a mental illness that he never had in the first place, in which the drugs finally ended up creating. In other words, the pills were creating the mental illness I never have. We're not here to judge psychiatry. We're not here to say what's wrong. We're not here to protest. We're not here to wait on the problem. We are here to anchor a solution in the new paradigm. We're here to give people a choice. And I'm here to give you the face and the voice of a man who completely emerged from what a lot of people say they can't emerge from, what a lot of people are frightened, what a lot of people are just in complete terror because of the spider web they find themselves in. I found myself in that spider web. It took a lot of work, and it took quite a bit. I'm completely emerged. My brain's not damaged, but it doesn't matter if the brain's damaged because this is a ministry, and this comes from this place. All right. Since this, it's 48th of the Sunday Zoom calls, but we in total we got about 70 Zoom calls and over 130 videos on my YouTube channel because people are frightened and they need belief that emergence is possible. Here it is. Am I a psychologist? No. Am I a psychiatrist? No. Am I a doctor? No. Am I a miracle? Yes. And that's what you want. You want a miracle. Don't think it's out of reach, folks. That's the reason that I was guided to start this whole ministry, to build that whole website, to record all these videos. Because I'm a contractor, I'm an architect. Well, God said for this, you got to learn how to build websites. You got to learn how to record Zoom calls. You got to learn how YouTube works, so you can love these people to death. Love these beliefs to death. We're putting a death to the beliefs that we've been damaged. We're putting death to all those old paradigm caterpillar beliefs in this ministry. All right, so I said it was about 5 minutes. This is as long as a lot of disclaimers, folks. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not telling anyone to get off their meds. I'm not telling anyone what they should do. None of us have qualifications to do that. Remember, it's a ministry. Is it a religious ministry? No, of course not. Fear is what got me into my mess, and love is what got me out. So no disrespect to religions, but no, we're not here to add any more beliefs, except for the one belief. If it still needs to be a belief, you got to believe in God, and you got to believe it's possible. Beyond that, I'm a Course in Miracles student, and we've got Beloved on, who's also a Course in Miracles student. You can come into this call with any resources that are working for you, any resources you want to go in the direction of, as long as they're not fear-based. All right. That was about my 4-minute introduction. Here's how we do these Zoom calls. We anchor spirit. The ministry that I'm hosting is based on the 12-step model, because the 12-step model is a simple model. And I've been in the 12 steps for over 30 years, and it works. And it's simple and it's doable. And the 12-step doesn't use the word religion or God. Well, they do use the word God, but they call it higher power. So that's why this ministry has got to address. We're not religious, but we can't be secular. In between there, in order to emerge from my parable, I became a mystic. I trusted in God, and I haven't regretted it since. My life is 10 times better than it would have been. I'm actually grateful for my psychiatric parable, and you need to hear that too. All right, I went on for 5 minutes, so here we go, folks. We're going to say the healer's prayer. This is how we start every Zoom call, by saying the healer's prayer by the ego of Kenneth getting out of the way, and then for the next hour we record all the magic that happens. We stop the Zoom YouTube recording after the hour. So if you've anything too personal for the internet, wait till after we stop the recording, and then you can record. You can share stuff that you would rather not have broadcast. But I invite you, please, folks, do not please be courageous enough to follow the example that I was guided to begin to set. Do not be frightened. Do not be frightened of what other people think. The moment I dropped the need to be loved or liked or appreciated, that's when I really began to emerge out of this. When I felt ashamed and guilty for my psychiatric parable, my healing was slow and arduous, and I don't want it to be slow and arduous for anyone else. As a matter of fact, the reason I'm hosting this ministry is because I learned so much from mine, and I want people to get it sooner. All right, I've gone on too long. The healer's prayer comes from the Course of Miracles, so here's how it goes. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing that he or she goes there with us. And the most important line from the healer's prayer is that we will be healed as we let him or her teaches us to heal. Okay. We got Greg on board. We got Beloved on board. People come on, late. So the Zoom call will just evolve. Beloved and I were on the call, 10 minutes before it started. And I'm telling you, folks, we started laughing. Now her and I, she doesn't have a psychiatric parable with the pharmaceuticals, but you don't have to have a story about pharmaceuticals. Beloved and I both have gone down the rabbit hole of mental illness. We both emerged, and we're both grateful for it. And what's most important is that 10 minutes before this phone call, we started laughing. And the reason we were laughing is I mean, she said something that just had me on the floor. I mean, she cut through all the metaphysics with a very, in her language, which I couldn't be more thrilled. Basically, it was move over, bitch, and get out of the way. I know that may sound kind of rough, but it had me smiling. Saying this, folks, is just, that's what we've been saying the whole time. If we can just learn to get out of the driver's seat, get our egos out of the driver's seat and let spirit start driving this car for us. Really, I mean, that may sound like an oversimplification, but if since I made that statement a year ago, I had to back it up with over 130 videos. And by the way, this is not a new message. I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's simply the message, that I just discovered an ancient wisdom teaching. And since I was on psych meds and benzodiazepines for 25 years, well, I got something in common with you folks. All right, I've said enough. I went on longer. It was 8 minutes. Beloved, you're muted. You said something in the chat. What did you say in the chat? Let's see. You said, I'm eating. I'll be right there. All right, beloved. Okay. So will Dr. Greg. Greg, you called me last night. I couldn't take your call. I was sound asleep. I'm in Utah, by the way, Greg. I'm on, the next assignment with the Living Miracles Monastery in Duchesne. So I'm running. I'm Greg, low on sleep, but I'm here for you, buddy. What's going on? Let's use this time wisely. You got my full attention, buddy.
Well, I hope I didn't wake you up, but
even if you did, buddy, I've extended the invitation. I couldn't respond, but I didn't need to because we're here now.
Okay.
Together.
Well, I don't know. I had a really good moment last night. It lasted a little while. Well, it was kind of brief actually, but when we talk about spiritual awakening, I've always thought it would be this point where I would get to this profound place, and that I would know so much, and I would be so aware and all this kind of stuff. But so much spirituality is counterintuitive. And last night I kind of just realized how unimportant I was. And it was really good. I just kind of realized how small I was. I was talking to my Al-Anon sponsor, and I was saying, well, I felt like kind of like really bad because I wasn't allowed to say what I wanted to, but she was kind of like, she said, everyone doesn't have to meet your expectations and all this. And I was kind of like, it was a little bit of shame because I realized that I was kind of being very selfish, but it was more like, I kind of had a point of time last night where I kind of just realized that like what I did and what I felt, and it just wasn't so important, that I have been kind of in a frantic pace trying to get my life back to better, in shape and do this and do that. And, it was all so important about everything I did. But then last night, I just kind of had a point last night where I was like, that all that self-importance just kind of disappeared. And it was really nice. It was very peaceful,
Greg, would it be okay if I jumped in, because you've thrown out 3 nuggets already, and we're not even 15 minutes into the call? Thank you. This is splitting hairs, but it's essential we split hairs. Yeah, my ego is so unimportant. I split hairs because the Greg I know is powerful and magnificent and omnipotent and omnipresent. And the ego is just so simply unimportant. We got to use, when we use the word you, I know, isn't it wonderful? We can split the hairs and see the difference. But Greg, our egos are caterpillars, and emergence is making the discovery that you just shared with the YouTube and the Zoom call, how unimportant the caterpillar. It was important once upon a time. The caterpillar was, and the ego was important once upon a time. But when I meet a mighty companion who is realizing the unimportance of the ego, then this new emergence that you're sharing with us is going to make the slide out of pharmacology so much easier. You said some other things that were valuable, but would it be okay if we got into Mary, because she hasn't been on in quite some time? Yeah. And Mary, you called me asking such a value. Do you mind if I share what our call was about?
Of course.
Mary called, and I think she wanted some clarification on shadow work. And it was, and again, I have to archive. She called just as I was taking a break from work and sitting down, and I was perfectly relaxed, and boom, the message from Mary comes in. This is how the spirit is orchestrating these relationships, because the answer was right there. I just pushed the call button and shared with her what I had learned about shadow work, which I want others to know, is that this stuff is going to come up. As we come off these medications, stuff is going to come to the surface. Now, what I was able to share with Mary that I learned the hard way is we do have to look at it. But I can't remember everybody's affiliations. I think Mary and I have discussed, probably the Christian faith at one time or another. I think so. So I used her, way show, and I said, as long as we look at it with Jesus, we can look at it, but we got to look at it with, or, if you're not a Christian, look at it with a mighty companion or whatever loving guide you're using. But we can, when this stuff comes up, have someone there to hold your hand, because truly, folks, the shadow work that's coming up, these are all just, they're not snakes, they're ropes, I guarantee. But we still have been indoctrinated to believe that these are all snakes. Now, when my teacher David Hoffmeister, shared with me how to do the shadow work, he just simply said, Kenneth, you're in a movie theater, you got popcorn and you got a diet soda, and you got Jesus sitting next to you. And he said, your entire life is on that movie screen. He said, movie screen there, Kenneth here. You're watching your shadow on a movie. And he said, your mighty companion, Jesus, is right by your side, and he'll make sure that you stay in that seat and try not to get on that screen. I'm sorry, I had to jump in, but Mary, I haven't forgotten about, so it's no accident you came on, because that's how we slide out of these, you know, when the meds, you know, are gone. It's great the meds are gone, because this stuff's got to come up for healing. And that's what my teacher taught me about healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was perfect timing for me too, when you picked up exactly when I reached out to you out of the blue. And I ordered a number of books, and I've been delving in. When I do something, I don't do it by halves. I've been doing workbooks, or started a workbook. And because you're right, when that stuff starts coming up, I guess you have three choices. You can tamp it down and try to ignore it, or you can find a way to escape it, of which, you know, we all know there are lots of ways to escape what we don't want to deal with, or you can deal with it head on, but you've got to do that wisely. Because if you don't, if you rush in where angels fear to tread, you might just end up back where you don't want to be. And there has been, you know, I live alone now, and I find that that's actually in many ways a really great thing, because I am now processing things in a way that I couldn't when my boyfriend lived with me, because I think I feared that my reactions to dealing with some of this stuff, to digesting and processing some of the stuff that happened to me in the last few years, that was a part of my awakening. But I was afraid that my emotions wouldn't be acceptable to him. And so I didn't cry for 5 years. I mean, I'm a crier, and I didn't cry for 5 years. And I needed to cry, and I needed to get mad. I needed to throw my keys. I needed to yell.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I needed to break glasses, but I broke so many things when I was on Valium that I don't really ever probably need to break anything yet. I think I got it out of my system for a few lifetimes, but I needed to, and I needed to get this stuff up, and I needed to not feel that in my own home I couldn't show the emotions that were so clearly needing to come up. So it's been really great this year, living alone and being able to do that. And that's when the shadow stuff started coming up. And it's like, you know, I can push it away, and I can say, I don't have a temper, which I was always taught I had a terrible temper that was unacceptable. But the truth was I had far too much tolerance for nonsense. And then every once in a while, as a reaction to putting up with too much nonsense and not holding up my boundaries, I would blow, and very rightly so. But then that would always be the story the family would tell. And I needed to go back, and I need to learn to embrace my reactions. My temper is part of my power. And I'm a warrior, and I repress that in myself too much. I was thinking back the other day, and I don't know if this would help any of you, but I was thinking back and thinking, what was I like when I was a kid, so young that I hadn't been conditioned much yet? Who was I? Who was I? And I was this little red-haired girl with black eyes, and I was a little demonic force to be reckoned with. And nobody tried to repress me, because I was like a little tornado. I was just like all over the place. And I was having a great time being me. And I thought, I need to get back to being that little girl. That's all I have to say.
Mary, I'm not about to jump in, and I could, because I know Beloved is just, I'm on pins and needles, because she is just going to take that and shower it with, because
I'm just
Mary,
clapping
and I
for
hope
you,
you go back
Mary.
to the archive, because
just
what you just shared was holy grail. I'm not going to touch it anymore, because Beloved's this is her turn. She's crying, and by the way, I'm getting a little bit teary too. So
it's beautiful. I mean, I see my granddaughters in what you just said, and they're so free now, and I love it. I wouldn't do what was done to me. But you're right. We're tamped down. You don't behave. That behavior is not acceptable. You need to be this pretty little girl with the pretty little dresses. And I know you were just, and then you're just, and I'm this. Let's not say in spite of it. It doesn't obliterate the beauty, and that we can play those roles too when we want to, when we choose to.
Yes. I agree.
And I won't just say speak to women. I guess men in different ways. Of course, you're tapped down. Y'all can't cry. You fucking can't cry. So at least we have permission to cry, but we can't curse people out because then they got to come and get us, you know? But yeah, I hear you. And I finally had to embrace my cursed out self because it came back to me that in that instance, that energy had to be expressed to do whatever, to play this. Who knows why? But it worked for whatever. It came back to me. It was beneficial. Who knew cursing somebody out? I'm the friend, I'm holding the baby, cursing this lady in front of and it came back. Wow, my daughter and I finally we don't know. But my point is, go girl, express yourself. I'm so glad you got that energy out. That's another thing we don't realize until energy moves out and we are with ourselves, that we are enough to fill every room, and we have to take care of. And then somebody can come in, and then we take care of me, they take care of them, and we share things. But you know, we found our alignment and congruency. Yes. Congruency. That means we love it all. We love that wild little girl. And yes, how can I help you? We can do it all. We have a wide range, but I love it. Greg, you are beautiful. I'm so glad you gave that little ego. Oh, right. When that stops, isn't it a relief? It's like peace and love and light, and who I really am gets to shine through. All that, I got to be this, and I got to do this. I got to get back in the swing thing now that I'm all better. And then Kenneth saying that it's even worse now that I'm getting better. That's what he was saying before we came on. No, it's not worse. It's just different. It's uncomfortable. Let's get different words. Let's reframe it. Kenneth, you always say reframing. Let's reframe. It is uncomfortable. What is pain? Let's look into it. And when we look at that darkness, when we finally look at it, it's going to make you laugh anyways. We're all going to be like laughing on the floor like, oh my God, I thought it was a snake and it was a rope all this goddamn time.
Yeah. Well, that little hurt little boy kind of left when the ego left. That was a surprising thing, that, you know, the little boy that wanted all that attention and all that. Absolutely.
Oh my God. We want it all. That's the ego's not a bad. It thinks it's this body, and this body is full of frailties. It's a fucking car. Every 5 minutes something going wrong. I got to get the oil changed. I got to get the tires changed. Now I got to get the air pumped in. I got to get the everything. But this is not us. This isn't us. And that's what we get to know. That's what we're here to transcend. And and that's what makes us crazy, because now I'm not a body. Okay, lady.
What I like is the humor when the ego disappears. People have humor. They kind of like it's all a fucking joke.
It is. It is. It is, in which the Son of God forgot to laugh. We took it serious. We took this, like Kenneth said, this movie seriously. Yeah. It's okay. We can laugh now.
And by the way, Mary, I needed you to share this morning. That was so beautiful what you shared, because this ministry is helping Kenneth heal, because number one, I felt that what you were sharing. I started for me to start shedding tears is huge, you know, and I bottled it up, trying to compartmentalize my emotions, which is how most of us were taught. No wonder, you know, the pharmaceutical companies, you know, came in with meds, because if we're taught to compartmentalize acceptable, unacceptable feelings, you know, I don't want to make this person frightened. But when we have the courage, and you use the word yourself, you called it warrior. When the warrior comes out and says, it's kind of like when Popeye eats a spinach, when Superman gets in the phone booth, you know, Wonder Woman. I love these superheroes because they're archetypes of people who finally said enough. You know, I am what I am. That's all that I am, and that's where that's when I began to see those were not snakes, those were ropes. When I meet someone who's got the courage to face it, and for all of us in this ministry, we've all realized we've got to surrender the pharmaceuticals and not face it. That's not the right word. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I know you can hear me. You talked about your beautiful little redheaded little girl while Greg was talking about his little boy. If I can even add to that, that's where the power comes from. It doesn't come from knowing anything. It comes from having the courage to return to the innocence of that child who's got all the answers. Now, by this time, we're all adults. We know how to drive a car. We know how to pay our electric bill. We know how to call Apple ID when our devices fail. We know all that. All right. So we don't need any more learning. What we need to do is unlearn, don't unlearn, how to drive a car, and don't unlearn, just keep learning your knowledge, but unlearn all the nonsensical, garbage that was added on top of it. And then what we're here to do is to remember that the perfection of that inner child, which can take us home all the way, slide us right back through the birth canal, going opposite, and no more need for any more, withdrawal stories. What Beloved was saying is what I'm experiencing now. I'm moving through feelings. Now, are they easy feelings? Yeah. What I'm also noticing, Kenneth is expanding. His heart is opening. He's coming back to life. Well, actually, he never really came. I was never really was in life. This is, and because I was shut down, because this was shut down for so many years, I get the privilege of a testimony. Hell yeah. I'm getting a yes from Beloved. You're smiling from ear to ear. And Greg, I know you can hear, because Greg, since I can see you and me, get ready, buddy. That's all I can say. There. How was that for a Sunday morning sermon?
Just y'all are so beautiful. If you could see I hope you all are looking at these beautiful faces I'm seeing. I mean, if somebody comes across this as psychiatric sobriety, they're probably expecting to see, come on, let's get serious. But they see this joy, and we can see our journey. That's the fun thing, is to go back through the archives and see the journey and see where we have. And yes, we got caught here, but we got up, we helped each other. And I think that's what this all is. I get goosebumps coming here. It's so reaffirming that we are being led because we're listening. We are connected. We're connected, whether you want to say God, source, light, I don't know, all love. We're connected. And I love that point we were making the other day, is does it mean you have to be completely off of whatever you think you need to be off of, or completely this way, or to be happy, to start the journey? No, that's what grace is. Grace is what gives you taste to keep you going, those crumbs to keep you going, even when you think you don't like it, even when you think it's hard. It's never harder than where I was. I will always say it was never harder than where I was before I had a clue. This has been challenging. But it's exciting challenging. It's like getting up Mount Everest. It's like, I know it's for a greater good, mine. I know I don't want to be crazy again. I know I don't want to be lost in my loopy thinking where only I could know my answers and I didn't have any. That meant hopeless. So I don't know. That was never. And if by some chance, we'll see. I'm open just to know your strength, right? We need that. Where have we come? How much stronger am I now? Now can I have somebody in my space and be fine with my boundaries and being myself? Whether it's I'm my nice, wonderful beloved. My name is Beloved, but it's also bitch. You can choose whatever one's you want to call forth, but I prefer Beloved. That's where my
Mhm.
That's where it's all aligned. That's where it's all connected. And that's what we all are. We are all, and the minute and it just, that grace, bam, the holy instant, bam, phew,
Mhm.
like you got,
Yeah.
Greg, when you said you got that, oh, you finally got a break. That was grace. Yeah, that was grace. Like, oh shit, I don't need all. I just thought I needed all that. No, I don't. Go over there. I don't need it. I'm fine. You know, I'm blessed. I'm more than fine. I am the light now, like Kenneth has become. You know, we're all becoming the light, the way showers, and not intentionally. We don't have to have the job of it. We don't have to, do Kenneth's thing, but in our own ways, whoever comes across our path.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
beloved, after we posted that archive on Wednesday evening, it was a no-brainer. I made a video, and I haven't made a video in months and months about taper schedules, because I haven't addressed that because that's way out of my league, and I put in all these disclaimers. But I finally just came out and said it. I said, look, folks, we're not doctors and we're not therapists. And I said, who is the doctor and who is the therapist? And I said on the video, I said, if you are guided, and that's what I said. I said, if you're guided to go off these meds, finally, it was perfect. We post enough videos and the message comes through. If you're guided to go off these meds, then you will, listen to your doctor. He's professional. Then I said, who's the ultimate doctor? If people keep coming to me with taper schedules, and I keep sending them back to the ultimate doctor that is in this ministry, God. Because we had that Svava came on, way back earlier in the year, and she was guided by Jesus she even got specifics on what to lower, what doses. Now, most people aren't going to get specifics like her, but that's the message. Listen to your doctor, but there's a doctor that may override the medical doctor, which is Dr. Jesus.
And it's your connection. Yeah. But that's so important that we're connected. It's not that outer voice that says you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should go this way, it should happen this way. No, you'll get it specifically for you. And those people, Kate Greaves is another person who was guided to come off her medications. And I don't know whether Jesus gave her taper schedule or whether just through her doctors, they agreed to help her get off of them when she came and said, I'm ready to get off. And then the doctors, like yours, you found someone that helped you, Kenneth, get off of yours when you finally said enough's enough. So, but all these stories are just to say connection and communication. We have it within us. That's the beautiful thing. We have it within us, whether we have access to the best medical care or none. In my case, none. I couldn't afford any. That's the only reason I don't have your story. I didn't have no coverage. I have money to get all of that shit. They wasn't giving it free. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, for the sake of this archive, it was back in probably January of 20. Oh, that's beautiful. I just got a message. 2016, when I was running bottom of the barrel, with the meds. I was only down to like one medication. And as I was approaching the end of 2015, I didn't get like Svava any specific instructions from Jesus, but I just got the message I just kept hearing is over no more. It's over no more. So even instead of having a taper schedule, I just every once in a while, towards the end, I was grabbing my last few pills, and I said, this is going to be my taper. This is the last prescription. A pill here and a pill there until this bottle's gone. And then came the spiritual work full time. The spiritual work, I've been a dabbler for my entire life, but after that last pill, it wasn't dabbling, it was full time. And that's where what I call my vision quest began. Beginning of 2016. It was next thing you know, by the time you hit 2021, you're starting your own ministry. I didn't plan it. And Mary, you've got so much of my respect. The part that I still have trouble with, you're right, my anger and that's probably why I'm back in the monasteries. I still got some expression to do some raw hurt. So I still believe in snakes.
You still believe what?
I still remember it's a Byron Katie analogy. She probably got it from somewhere else. Greg, when we're asleep, we believe that all this shadow work that we carry, we believe they're snakes. We believe they're poisonous snakes.
Mhm.
This is how we've been trained. Even religions have done their fair share to tell us these are snakes.
Mhm.
No, when we come off our meds and we face them and do, our guidance will show us they're ropes. We've been running away from, the vision I got, I've been running away from this fire-breathing dragon my whole life, thinking it's going to kill me. No wonder I need psych meds and benzodiazepines. This is a fire-breathing dragon.
Mhm.
And if you stop running, it's going to gobble you up.
Mhm.
Now, when I faced that, part of out of exhaustion, I just collapsed.
Mhm.
Really, kind of went like this, and please, make this a pain, make this death quick. Please eat me quick so it doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
Okay. It wasn't a fire-breathing dragon, folks. It was a puppy dog with
Mhm.
kisses.
Okay.
You see what the message is.
Mhm.
Mary used the word warrior.
Mhm.
When you said that, I saw the warrior, the woman king. I don't know if anybody has seen this,
I
but the
did.
woman king, right? Yeah. When you said warrior, I'm like, that's what it reminded me of. And
I was grinning from ear to ear the entire time. My friend Deborah says I need to see it again because that wasn't the reaction I was supposed to have. But I was like, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. It brought out the warrior.
But
been a
she
while
said
since you've been
something
here,
that
Mary.
she was running and hiding, and she would wake up with nightmares, her shadow, and then it was Baba herself, the ultimate monster was herself that she couldn't face. So like you said, it ends up being mine too. My monster was my blessing.
Mhm.
Wow. And I would have never known. I was so terrified of it.
Mhm.
I terrorized myself with these thoughts.
Mhm.
And that's what we do. And to be vigilant and watching how these thoughts are our own worst enemies.
I'll
tell you. Go ahead.
Thoughts.
Mhm.
Waking up is just the discovery that they're just thoughts, and all of this are made up of thoughts. They're not snakes, they're ropes.
Mhm.
And this is where the work comes in for Kenneth. I'm here at Living Miracles Monastery, and my teacher is David Hoffmeister, so he calls it mind training. Mind training is it's going by many different names. Noticing, is it true? That's what I love about Byron Katie. I think Mary and I did a Byron Katie worksheet months ago. Is it true? Is it really? And if we can get still enough to notice that in this moment, none of it's true. In this moment, they're all just movies that we run, and we're reacting to what's happening on the movie screen of our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes without saying, everything. Now, so that's, we wake up from the dream, and perfect, beloved. I'm so glad that Zoom call from Wednesday was valuable beyond words. Who do we need to be off psych meds? I don't know, but Byron Katie woke up, and she just, I don't, no one knows her full story, but apparently she just woke up and just said, no more cigarettes, no more alcohol, no more pills. And and that's that goes up with Svava was saying, if we had it backwards, and this was the point in the video that I posted, we believe first we got to get off the psych meds, then we got to get off the benzodiazepines, and I said in my video, no, wake up first, wake up. And if that's supposed to be in your story, just simply notice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not reinventing the wheel. Who said build your house on rock? The beautiful thing about my psychiatric parable and everyone else in here is we had to build the house on sand. No one told us that no one pointed to the rock where we're supposed to build our house. And I herald everyone for building a house. I herald everyone for building a house. That it washed away only pointed towards the rock where we can start laying our new footings there. I started preaching again, but Mary's smiling and Greg's nodding, so that's the message.
This isn't spiritual, but the thing about the alcohol, the pills, and the cigarettes is they're painful. It's good to get off these things because they hurt. But what? One other thing. What else was I thinking? It's amazing when you do realize the ego is not so important. It's amazing how everything is restored. That I guess the Christian concept would be, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, then everything's added unto you. I'm surprised how everything has come back, kind of
throws all those damage
solutions to my ailments in Ayurvedic and in homeopathy. And I'm like, but I guess that wasn't really the most important thing, I am finding these solutions, but the first thing was, I guess, as you put it, Kenneth, to get out of the way. And then that's when things happen,
Yeah, and I invite people to notice, that as we, happen, part of unbelieving, these snakes are the beliefs in damage. And that's the prime reason that this ministry had to come off the ground is we've all heard it. We've all been on those Facebook pages. Help, my brain has been damaged. Help, my brain has been damaged. Snake, snake, snake. Because what I posted in the video is, we all believe that we need to get our brain chemistry in balance in order to be happy. We need to get our brain chemistry balanced in order to have joy. And I just said it in that 6-minute video. I said, balderdash. Happiness and joy did not come from brain chemistry. It comes from here.
Yeah.
I can't believe it came out, but it came out because Beloved and I joined on Wednesday, and we finally cracked that safe. It's been locked in the safe, and we just started turning the dials until we got the combination, opened up the door, and all this wisdom came out. No damage. No, and now when we can unbelieve in damage, how quickly are we going to, if we can unbelieve in the damage, then we'll just, our bodies will recalibrate, and the brain chemistry will come back online,
Well, let us also say what we are is beyond damage. That's what I'm talking about. What I truly am can't be damaged. Can this body and brain be damaged? I guess. Who I am never, ever can be touched. That is really what we're not talking on the 3D physical level here. This is real medical physical, because we're this first. And I think that's Kenneth's point. And what Greg seems to be hinting at, I think, Greg, when you changed your mind, when you were willing to open your mind, when you were willing to ask to be shown another way or a different way, that's when our lives open up. Certainly when mine did, when I knew I did not have an answer and I asked the universe to help me. I knew I couldn't do it. You have to get out the way, I guess. Move, bitch, get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Going back to what Kenneth said about the anger and feeling like there's a lot of anger that is still in there and needing to come up. Someone really wise said to me when I was 18, and he was I think he was kind of a psychic, but he was also a very famous astrologer. And I'm not getting into that right now. I don't know if I even really believe in all that, but he had a lot of gems to bestow. And one of the things he said to me is, he said, you came in this life to take the women in your family in a different direction, to break through the things that have held them back. And that didn't mean much to me at the age of 18 or 19. I just thought, what held mom back? What held grandma back? But I've been doing a lot of thinking about grandma lately. And my grandma was a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. She came from a working class Scottish family. Okay. little businesses. No one had ever been to college. My
Mhm.
grandma, she not only put herself through college, and earned a
Really?
master's degree, but she
Mhm.
got on a ship and went to Africa, and she taught French and English to different tribes. And she was an adventurous. She did this in the 20s, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
When she was a little kid, she walked down the street to the dental school and said, "Hey, I have crooked teeth," and they gave her braces. This was in like 2018. She had braces. She was one of the guinea pigs they were testing. And so my grandma got her teeth straightened. I mean, she was this powerful woman. And then she married my grandpa, who was a great guy. And they were, I think, in many ways a great team. But at that point, my grandma did the whole feminine mystique thing. You know, it was all about staying home, cooking for your family, and being the dutiful wife and mother and helpmate. And I think deep down, I don't think that was okay with my grandma. I don't think it fulfilled her the way she really wanted it to fulfill her. And it went on far too long after my mother was raised. She kept hanging around the house. She didn't go out and have her adventures anymore. And so I think a lot of that stuff got passed through my mother to me. And although my mother was the first person, like, she gave me the book, The Feminine Mystique, to read when I was like 18 or 19. But my mother was also the embodiment of the things the feminine mystique talks about.
Okay.
She wanted me to escape from it, but she also wanted me to be tethered very firmly to it, and fought me tooth and nail when I wanted to leave an abusive husband. And then second time around, fought me tooth and nail when I wanted to leave a bad husband, and wanted me to be sort of chained to the very things that she thought were wrong. And I think a lot of the awakening that I went through was realizing, you know, family is a very flexible thing. Family is not always the people you're related to, and that it is correct sometimes to move away from people related to you or not, when they insist on pushing you back into this mold, and when you can't fit into that mold anymore. And so I think sometimes the anger that can well up isn't just for what we've been through, but it's for generations of people who have been through it. I mean, this DNA, or maybe it's just the soul connection we all have, the righteous indignation that has built up for generations, and you go bursting through that. That's a lot to get out. That's a lot of energy built up in you to get out, crying for everyone. And being outraged for everyone, but burn it clean, like Maya Angelou said. You know, anger is fuel. It's a fire that burns everything clean, but let it burn it clean, and then don't go back.
Let it burn it clean.
Well, it's like, you know, take the whole pile of rubble that was the disaster of your life, if you want to look at some of the disaster, and just burn it, utterly burn it, and then be done with it. You know. Don't burn a little piece today and a little piece tomorrow, and 100 years from now I'm gonna burn that little piece. Burn the whole damn thing down and walk away, and don't look back.
I'm hearing Phoenix from the ashes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because every time I try to turn around and go back a little bit, that's very sick stuff. I can't do that.
No.
What I mean, this is the part where we do need to get in the driver's seat, because gravity wants us to go back. The ego does not want us to wake up out of the dream. So this goes back from, you know, this goes back to what Tina keeps saying. You know, it's a big joke in this ministry. I say get in the passenger seat. Tina says get in the driver's seat. You know, we both just collapse and say just get in the fucking car. But no, you know, when the past stories come back, we've got to get in the driver's seat and say, you know, my teacher David Hoffmeister finally nailed it.
That is good.
People think Satan is some, you know, mythical deity with horns, and David started laughing. He goes, Satan is linear time. He said, the devil is the past and the future. Very simple. So now when we say, Satan, get thee behind me, it's let's just get in the present moment. It's not as complicated as religious it's made it out to be. And as far as your ancestral work goes, Mary, go for it. Yeah.
Mm.
You know, you are your grandmother. That warrior spirit of your grandmother who went to Africa in the 1920s and put herself from college.
Mhm.
It's you.
Wow.
Mm. Yeah.
That's where, you know, the generational work. It's, I mean, you know, that's where the generational, you know, research was important in my story. You know, my grandmother passed when I was 16 years old in 1983. The love of my life, the person I lived for, you know,
Oh.
made us lobster dinner Christmas 1983,
Oh.
and 3 days later she was gone.
Yeah.
And it was, and everyone's heard my story. The moment I got on my knees in my 40s, I was 40s, late 40s, and said, I'd gotten on my knees many times, but for the last time, I said, God help. I said, God help. And that was when I was driving the delivery for Portland Rock, you know, that summer. And I think it was 2014 or 13. I swear to God, folks, that's when I heard that chuckle. My grandmother was a smoker, so she had a deep gravel voice, kind of like Lucy, because they were all smokers back then. And that's when I heard that deep chuckle, and I said, I've heard that voice before. And she said, of course, it's me. She said, I've been here the whole time, just waiting for you, kiddo. She called me kiddo. And that's when she said, now will you let me, no accident, I was driving deliveries. She said, now will you let me drive this? She said, nothing's gone wrong. She said, by the way, I have no idea how those deliveries got made that summer, because I said, what do you want from me? And she said, all you have to do, she said, I'm going to drive these deliveries for you for the next summer, for the whole summer. She said to me, all you need to do, kiddo, is start shedding those tears that have been backlogged. Shed those tears, shed them. And by the way, I wasn't even off the psych meds yet. I still had one or two left to go. 2013, 2014. I can't remember the dates anymore. So as far as ancestral work goes, Mary, and your grandmother, she ain't gone. She's right here with you.
I think this also, I want to talk about anger. I have really bad temper, and I don't even know it. I had a friend who said, oh, you gapped. That's what he would call it. Like I would just go off. What triggered me, who knows? And then I would just go off. And he said, oh, you gapped. And I'm appreciating what you're saying about this pent up anger. I mean, ultimately, I'm angry at God. I mean, I've always been mad at my relationship with God. And I think it just bursts out. And what I had, I knew there was ways I wasn't happy how it came out. I didn't want it at my 2-year-old grandchild, right? So I didn't like that. It's not saying that this energy didn't need to be expressed, but I had to find some kind of way to get my energy expressed that wasn't yelling at my children or, you know, someplace that made me hurt. Let me just say that. It wasn't that society said, oh, you're acting right. No, I suffered because every time I went off on my kids or something, curse them out, I had to go in and fucking apologize. And it's humiliating to apologize to your children, at least for me and my ego. So, you know, I have a lot of energy and I know I have to channel this energy. I'm a fitness professional. That's why I'm always doing something. I'm dancing and I dance like a crazy person. I encourage everybody to move like a crazy, I call it dance or movement. I'm not going to say I'm a dancer because I'm not on TikTok doing it. I can't do all that shit. But I can just go for it. I can go. I can let loose. Just like when I don't have any control, but I found a way that I can flow with this expression. And it does look crazy, but you know, if you do it in your house or out in, you know, New York, nobody looks at you. You know, you pick your places. People acting so bizarre now, nobody pays attention. But you know, express yourself. And maybe we need to get mad. We need to express ourselves and in ways and I don't know, it has to come out. And why is it such a, and not be scared. Maybe you can hold the energy for somebody who's going crazy. I loved it that my best friend could do it. She could just I'd be going crazy, and she'd be like, okay, just, and go watch it. She just holds the space. She just, let me know when you're done. And then she goes back to what she's doing. It's no big thing. It doesn't stop. Oh my God, why are you acting like this? Oh, I'm just acting like this. This energy came out, and it came out all crazy looking like this. And maybe we, as this society, how you've got to behave, it's going to make the people burst, but we're gonna have to find ways to get this energy flowing in constructive ways that benefit us and bring us into alignment and lifts our frequency higher, our frequency, because that's the point of it. There's no good or bad energy. There's not angry energy. There's just energy that's bursting forth. And what's this mind filter is coming through? What's this consciousness? We want a higher level of consciousness. So when it comes out, it's expressed as, oh, I'm in Utah now. Oh, I'm feeling better now. Oh, I'm feeling my space, or whatever it is.
I've got to share this with Mary right now. And I've got to get this. And I'm going to say it on YouTube, and I got to say thank you, Mary. I didn't know how to love my own mother. We both got into our codependency traps, and codependency is it's a vortex. Relationships that are codependent actually have to go like this. Two parties have to heal individually. And then I had my entire gay parable. Not that I'm ever going to be straight, but when you get immersed in the gay community, then you get a whole set of complications, with the AIDS pandemic. So I was not there for my mother at all when she was crying for love. Now we all know, in this world, it's a mother's job to love their complicated relationship. But the bottom line is, I have to share with you, my mother passed suddenly in 2004. I was only 37 years old, and I felt guilty about it. And I know the metaphysics about guilt, it has to do with an ontological guilt, but I'm not there yet. So here's what I want to share with Mary. When you trust me and I get to love you, that story of what of my lack and deficiency stories get washed away. These are divinely guided encounters. When I can hear you and I can feel you, I'm home free. I'm no longer following the Satan's voice of past anymore. I'm right here because I get to be present with you. That's love. Thank you. And as far as what Beloved said, absolutely. I've never even brought George into this ministry. George lived with me for months and months while I screamed and screamed and screamed and screamed, and George just loved me. I have said so many gratitudes to George for holding the space while I sat in that, curled up in the fetal position of, that house on 82nd Drive, and not only scream, but, through all these spiritual books, every time a spiritual book would talk about God, I'd chuck it. You're right. And George just said, kiddo, I know who you are under all this. I know who you are under all this. All right, I got to end the Zoom recording. This is Kenneth Price on Sunday, October 23rd. And I am eternally grateful to Greg. I'm eternally grateful to Beloved. And I'm eternally grateful to Mary for our 48th Sunday morning Zoom call. Listen, that healer's prayer works, folks. Spirit spoke through all four of us and documented this message that has to for the ministry, psychiatricsobriety.com, for people who are coming, for the courageous souls who have made the decision to exit psychiatry. And maybe that means not exit it, you have to choose against it. We're not here to choose against anything. We're not here to end anything. We're here to birth something new. And that's the point. And in birthing something new, if you're guided to surrender your psych meds and benzodiazepines, fantastic. If you're guided, this message had to evolve. And then we get all these courageous souls on board who have surrendered their psych meds, who have surrendered their benzodiazepines, and discovered a whole new butterfly beyond the caterpillar, lives. We've documented a cocoon, what a cocoon looks like, and how we're taking the steps to emerge ourselves. Nothing's gone wrong. Something's going right. Leave your comments below. God bless, and may the force be with you. Bye.